Well, here we are. First, tell me, who is called Darling?
Okay, Cole Darling is almost 66 years of age. I was born in Scotland in 1948 and my parents took me with my sisters to Australia in 1950. And so I'm an Australian, although I was born in Scotland. I served for 20 years in the Royal Australian Navy. I joined at age 15 and a half. And then after I left the Navy, I was fortunate enough to get a position in a large shipping terminal for international coal near Mackay in Queensland. So I gained a lot of experience there in shipping and handling of coal, to the point where in the latter part of my career I was able to do some consulting for engineering companies in materials handling in Australia. But of course along came the GFC and the downturn, and there wasn't so much coal being moved, and at about the same time I had become ill with cancer, and so I decided that I'd had enough money.
We will say something about it later.
Okay.
Well, there is a Greek film called What Did You Do in the War Thanasis?
Yes.
Well, what did Colin Darling do in Vietnam?
Okay, I was a Navy clearance diver, Royal Australian Navy, trained in explosive ordnance disposal. I was just a young man. I was 18 when I went to Vietnam. I came home and had my 19th birthday and got married on the same weekend, and then went back to Vietnam. And our job was to assist an American team to make sure that shipping in the Mekong River and the Delta area near Saigon was kept free of booby traps and mines, and we also helped the Army with disposal and with booby traps.
So you were a diver?
Yes, I was a diver, but specialising in underwater demolition and explosive ordnance disposal.
Have your services been recognised in any way?
Yes. In fact, it's quite a long story in terms of years. It took 44 years, but one of the operations that I was involved in was with a group of Americans as well, and for the action that we took, the group that I was with was awarded a US presidential citation signed by President Richard Nixon. But at the time, the Australian government had two problems. One was that we didn't recognise foreign awards, but the other big problem was that Australia was still denying that we had Navy clearance divers in Vietnam, so it was very difficult to make a presentation to a group of people who were not there. So some 44 years later this was rectified when through the fine work of some members of the Royal Australian Navy Clearance Diving Branch and the association, saw us taken to Sydney with our wives or partners, and the US ambassador to Australia presented us with the US Presidential Citation Ribbon 44 years after it was awarded.
Finally.
Finally.
Well, do you have a family?
Yes, I do.
Children,
Yes, I'm married to Pamela. We've been married almost 38 years, and I have 5 children, and I have 7 grandchildren.
A lucky man.
Yeah, I am a very lucky man.
A lucky grandfather.
Lucky grandfather.
For how many years are you involved with sailing?
Not so much in sailing. When I was in the Navy I had a certificate for bridge watchkeeping and navigation, and I was qualified to be master of Navy support vessel, and after I left the Navy I transferred those qualifications into civilian qualifications, so I continued to do work delivering of boats and things like that, but I'd always had a love or a dream one day to go sailing, and the name of the boat, it tells the story.
What made you decide to do this trip?
when I was 52, I developed prostate cancer, and I had my prostate removed, and I recovered completely, and went on with my life. But 2 years ago, I started to get some pain and swelling in my neck, and it was very quickly diagnosed as esophageal cancer, so I had throat cancer.
Yeah, we call it esophagus. Yeah.
Yes.
Καρκίνος του esophagus.
Yes. So fortunately the treatment was no surgery. I had 35 doses of radiation and 8 doses of chemotherapy in Brisbane, and I lost a lot of weight, but here we are almost 2 years later, and I'm, as far as I'm concerned, fully recovered. But I think after having cancer when I was 52 and then again 2 years ago, my family has grown up, my kids are all very happy, and this is a dream I always wanted to take. So I decided that I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow,
Yeah.
and I don't want to regret anything on my deathbed.
Yeah.
So we decided that we would go and do what we'd been dreaming to do.
Good. I understand your surname is Darling.
Yes, my family name is Darling.
The name of your boat is Finally My Darling. Where did this name come from?
Okay, well, as I said, I'd been dreaming of going sailing for about 40 years. And when I decided that now was the time, I couldn't find a boat in Australia that my savings I could afford. So I started to look on the internet, and I found a boat which I think fitted all my needs in Croatia. And it was owned by a German gentleman who
Last year?
Last year, or late in 2012. And so when I got on an aeroplane, I went to Croatia, and I met with this gentleman, and within a day or two he agreed that he would sell it to me at a price that I could afford to pay. And the kids said to me, "Dad, we have a name for your boat." After waiting for so long and using my family name, the name became Finally My Darling.
Finally, you did it.
So finally I did it.
What will be the route to follow until you arrive Australia?
Okay, last year we cruised from Šibenik in Croatia. We went to Venice and then back to Šibenik. We followed the Croatian coast all the way down to Montenegro and Albania. And then we entered Greece last year for a 3-month cruising permit at Gouvia in Corfu. We spent 3 months, we went through the Corinth Canal in Athens, and then we went to the Ionian Islands, and then eventually we made our way, we went to Santorini, Myos and Mykonos,
Yeah.
and then we went to Kos, and from Kos we departed Greece, and then we took up a 3-month cruising permit in Turkey. So we spent 3 months in Turkey, and I wintered the boat at the Marmaris in Turkey. And now that we're back in Greece, our plan is to continue west through the Peloponnese to Zakynthos, and from Zakynthos to Sicily. And eventually at the end of this year, our plan is that we will go to Gibraltar for about 2 weeks and make the boat ready to cross the Atlantic in the very early January. From the Atlantic, we'll cross the Caribbean.
Sorry, why you chose January to do the crossing?
Eventually I want to take the boat home to Australian waters, and it's impossible these days to go through the Suez Canal and Red Sea. It's not impossible, but it's very dangerous with Somali pirates.
Yeah.
And of course the best cruising area is to cross the Atlantic after seeing the beautiful Mediterranean, then go into the Caribbean.
Much longer though.
Oh yes, it's much longer, but it's
More pleasure.
it's a great challenge. Yes, more pleasure.
Yeah.
I think the saying is no pain, no gain.
Yeah.
So we'll cross from Cape Verde to the Caribbean and probably spend about, I think, 10 to 12 months in the Caribbean.
A nice place to stay.
Yes, and then we'll go through the Panama Canal, and from the Panama Canal we'll go to the Galapagos,
Yeah.
and from the Galapagos into the Pacific, and we plan to spend maybe I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 years to cross the Pacific.
Oh, I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I'm jealous. Well, I believe that. First, I would like to ask you, what made you winter your boat in Marmaris? Why you didn't stay in Rhodes, for example, or in Kos?
Well, look, to be quite honest, I didn't fully investigate what was available in Rhodos or in other places in Greece. And I must admit, because we were already in Turkey, and I went to Marmaris to have a look at the facilities there.
And it was cheaper.
Oh, it was definitely cheaper.
Say it.
Yes, it was cheaper.
That's why I asked you. You know?
It was cheaper in. We knew from not just our own experience, but talking to other yachtsmen, that their preference was to do it in the Marmaris because it was much cheaper than doing it in Greece.
Okay. I believe that in a trip like this, there will be a lot of difficulties. What is your autonomy in electricity and fresh water, for example?
Okay, the boat was already well fitted out by its previous owner. We have a 140 litre an hour capacity to make water from salt water.
Drinkable.
Yes, very good drinkable water. Sometimes better. The test is better than coming out of the tap.
Yeah.
So it's very good water. We have a very large, for this size boat, the normal generator is 6 kVA. The German owner wanted to run his water maker and his dive compressor and everything else at one time if he wanted to, so he put 11 kVA generator in, so we have plenty of electrical power. But since we bought the boat, we've also installed 3 large solar panels and a large capacity inverter and solar regulator, so we are self-sufficient in most circumstances for both electricity and water.
What about hot water supply?
Hot water supply, if we run, we can run the generator to heat water in the inox boiler, 60 litre. But if we're running the starboard engine and to try to keep the engine hours, because we have 2 55 horsepower Volvo Penta engines, on the odd days of the month we run the starboard engine if we're motoring, and on the odd days, on the even days we run the port engine. So on the even days, on the odd days for the starboard engine, we can make hot water from the engine. And of course, if we really need to make more water, if we had some visitors on board, we can run the generator for about an hour.
What is your speed with your sails, and what is your speed with engines?
Okay, we can make with one engine about 2,000 RPM. The engine will do 2,800 RPM, but I don't want to work it hard. So anywhere between 2,000 and 2,200 RPM, we can make about 5.7 knots on one engine, but we only make about 6.3 knots on 2 engines, so one engine is fine. But when we're sailing, we can often sail, even just with our foresail, faster than we can with motoring on one engine.
I saw that.
So we sail as often as we can.
Yeah.
And if we have good winds, then we can make 8.5, 9 knots without too much difficulty.
Yeah. Who else is going to be with you? You're not going alone, of course.
No, I have. I'm fortunate enough that last year my daughter and my son-in-law were able to spend all year with us last year. They went back a little earlier, and each went on to a 6-month work contract in Australia. Mike's work contract, my son-in-law's work contract is finished, and he's now back on board with me. My daughter Brooke's work contract finishes in about 3 days' time, and she's coming back to join us with my wife in probably maybe Zakynthos, we think, but they'll fly to Athens and then join us wherever we are. In February of this year, while we were home visiting our family, my wife had a full knee reconstruction because she had a lot of pain in her knee last year, which limited her opportunity to enjoy the trip. So this year she had a knee reconstruction, and she's been doing physiotherapy, and so she's ready now to come back, and she'll join us with my daughter Brooke in the next, probably about on the 5th of June they'll rejoin us.
I suppose your wife is your age, about.
Yes, she's 3 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
She was, just over 2 years older than me. She was born in 1946 in September. I was born in 1948 in October. So she's 2 years older than I am.
I hope she will not blame you for that.
No.
You said this in front of the camera.
Yeah, but she was. Yeah, I made her 3 years older. Sorry, Graham.
Well, when do you think that you will arrive Australia?
We have no set date, but because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen in 6 months' time. Who knows? So we're enjoying every day. But I think if we allow for our ages, and I'm thinking maybe in the latter part maybe of 2017, we'll go back to Australia.
I wish I were with you. even doing nothing, just tie my hands and looking after behind the window, you know, just to see the places.
Yes, absolutely.
And just having a camera.
Yes.
And copy all of it.
Well, you've been fortunate enough to be with us now for 2 weeks.
It was a very good luck
yes,
for me.
I know. And some of the places that we've seen with you, I think everybody when they comes to Greece has to have a new best Greek friend to come with them to show them some of the places the average tourist would not see. The beautiful little spot in Daphnia, and then on the school bus to Olympus. And Pigalia. You know, all of the things that we saw. Some tourists might see, but we had very good insight because we could listen to you and meet your old friends.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Well, so what else we can say? I said that I'm jealous. I keep saying that all the time. I wish I could come with you. The problem is we have a family here, we have grandchildren, and it's impossible for them to follow.
Yes.
So I wish you all the best. I wish you arrive safely and happy back home.
Yes.
You are from Brisbane.
Yes.
I have been to Brisbane. It's a very nice place.
Yep.
What are you going to do with this boat when you arrive Australia? You keep it?
I'd like to keep it, but I think you know, at that stage I'll be close to 70. Pam will be 72, not 73. And I don't know, it'll be up to my health. But having a boat of this size, of 44 foot, to keep in a marina is very expensive. And insurance is very expensive. So I'm thinking what might happen is we may leave the boat in Malaysia, in maybe Phuket in Thailand, or Langkawi in Malaysia, where it's much cheaper. And we can travel back and forth. But I think eventually what will happen, we'll have our dream, we'll have our experiences, and we'll sell the boat. But it will be a very good buy for somebody because it's only 6 years old now, so it's going to be in very good condition.
I don't know how much you paid for this boat, but the experience you are going to live is priceless.
Absolutely. And Joseph, I think we're in a very fortunate position because if I sell the boat back in Australia, I agree with you totally that we cannot put a price on the experience we'll have had and our fitness and our mental health. But I think that, you know, I'll probably sell the boat for about what I paid for it. So it's a win-win.
Another thing I'm sure will happen is that you will recover, you will be perfect in your health.
Yes.
Because all this adventure will send away the cancer.
Yes,
definitely.
I'm sure.
Because this is the enemy of the cancer, you know. If you are happy, and you do what you like.
And no stress in your life.
No stress in your life.
Yeah.
So I wish you all the best.
Now, can I just say...
whatever you like.
We have a blog. We have a brand new website, which my daughter has just
yes,
finished.
you should say that.
And if anybody would like to sort of follow our activities, our website is www.finallymydarling.com.
Okay.
And on the 1st of June, it's going live. It's testing right now, but on the 1st of June, please log on and look at our blog.
We'll follow you.
You can follow us all around the world.
You must be.
Well, at least across to the Caribbean. And then onwards. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for hospitality.
Yes, thank you for being on board. It's been our win.
Okay. Thank you.